what's your best advice? Like, what's your top 5 tips for a 25-year-old who wants to make sure he is a husband and father who is going to raise children who themselves will grow up to be adults who have healthy relationships and families? Like,
again, I think you gotta wait to get married. I wouldn't, you gotta wait until you're later in life, late 20s, early 30s.
You gotta want it.
You gotta want it. You gotta be done with being selfish, right? Like living your life for yourself. It's, and second, you've got to definitely, you and your spouse have to both want children. Can't be, and like really want to have children, because if one person isn't bought in and is kind of like on the fence, it's not gonna work, because if you get talked into it, you're gonna always resent the other person. Like if things start going bad, and you're gonna be like, well, you're mad at me, like you forced me to have these kids, and like you knew I didn't really want them, and that's gonna be a disaster. So those are like probably the top 2. You gotta wait till you're mature enough to be like in a relationship that you're going to be faithful in and be invested in. And you've got to definitely, you and your partner both definitely need to agree that you want children. Those are probably the 2 biggest ones. Because if either of those are off, your marriage is never going to be good. Like there's always going to be something between you. I would say, if you could, ideally, find someone in the same geographical location as you.
But the reason is not just for convenience. You're saying because you have experienced the value of having extended family support, both as a child and as a spouse and parent. You're saying your whole life story is the story of, it makes a big difference. It helps a lot to have the support system around.
Everybody needs a break, right? And like that's what my parents always say when they come. Like they would prefer us not to be around the children when they're here. When they're around.
They're like, get out of your house.
Basically, It's like, and they want, like, they'll take the kids for like a weekend, and they'll say, give us the children, get away. And it's like, we want you, we want to see them, first of all, and we don't want you, like, judging us the way we, the grandparents. And, like, this is, like, a break for you guys. Like, go have a break and, like, be away from everybody. And I think that's healthy. Like, everybody needs to step away and not have, I mean, you probably experienced this. Like, Kristen's always got like the kids like hanging on her, like always want her around, and it's always like a big deal. And like a lot of times I'll come down from like work or whatever, and I'll be like, I'm ready to talk. Like I haven't talked to anybody like all day, and like hug me. And she's like, don't touch me.
Yeah. Kristen and I have experienced that both ways. Where when I was working and she was on maternity leave, then there'd be one dynamic, and now it's the opposite dynamic. Yeah, we've been on both sides of that. Yeah.
So the support system is totally needed, and having family support system is the most important. So same geographic location, and really like again, if you can, and I think you're always going to be attracted to this in general. Like well, as I say, opposites attract, but anyway, when you marry somebody, you're marrying their family. You got to make sure that you like their family and you're going to get along with them, because if you don't, you can't, there's going to be a strain there. Like you can't just not show up at their house every time. It's not like I can't go down to Pennsylvania because I don't want to. Like it's rude, but I like seeing them. And so that to me is an important thing too. You got to make sure you know what you're getting into and who you're marrying. I always knew, you needed a lot of patience with like kids because you're asking a million questions, which is fine. Like I don't even mind the questions. They don't listen. They whine and like that sort of thing. And end of the day, when you're tired from work yourself or whatever, or you're tired from just like the kids in general, and like you're trying to go to bed, like put them to bed. It's always like the worst time because people, the kids are tired, but they don't want to go to bed, but they're whiny. And everybody's like then crying starts happening, and
a lot of people on a hair trigger.
And especially like I need to remind myself a lot. Like I knew that you needed patience, but like saying you need patience doesn't do it justice. Like the kids they're not being jerks on purpose. Like they don't know how to express their emotion or whatever. Like, and so they just end up whining and crying. And you can't just blow up at them and yell at them because I mean, I do. I'm not going to pretend. I'm not going to pretend I don't. But I always feel bad afterwards. And before doing that, one of my friends told me this because he had like a health scare or whatever, and now he has he tries to have a different perspective. Yeah. And he's always like, every time they just annoy the hell out of me, he's like, I try to just move aside for a minute and just calm myself down because he's like, who cares? Like, they're not doing it on purpose, and who really cares? Like, what am I getting mad at? And then I come back to the situation and I try to be better. So I would say that. Like, I think yelling is okay because you got to discipline and like all that stuff, and like that's fine. But like, you just know that you got to have a lot of patience, I guess.
No, I think
that's the last one
for sure.